How are we doing, guys? It's Royce here from CrossFit Thurrock, and today I am joined by none other than
Leigh Coates.
And Leigh, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and why the others might want to stay tuned and listen to what we're going to talk about today.
I'm a CrossFit athlete, and last year I made it to the Games, and this year I managed to get back. So yeah, on my way to the Games again.
I think there's a little bit of underselling yourself there a little bit, Leigh. It's like, I made it to the Games last year and I kind of got there this year. Let's talk a little bit about that qualification process. So last year, let's talk about quarters and semi-finals. How did that go for you?
So I might need to let you know that I actually live in Asia. So I live in Hong Kong. Last year, we were neck deep in COVID restrictions. Our gyms were shut intermittently, on and off, like crazy. So lots of my work was done outside of the gym from home because gyms weren't open, we couldn't do anything. And luckily enough, the gym that I train at has a program that would keep me busy, as all of their members, for training throughout the lockdowns. So it made it very difficult because, of course, nobody had equipment, right? It was all what you could borrow, what you could find, where you could do it, etc. And don't forget, we're in Asia, it was like very hot, etc., working outside. So just a bit of background, really. We had the Open that was done in lockdown. We were able to open outside of the gym and do some work in small little contained pods. I mean, I don't know what you guys had to do, or if you just had to shut down.
By that time last year, we were pretty much back to normal, I believe.
Right.
So yeah, but the year before was a nightmare, as everyone knows. But by last year, yeah, we were back to normal operations.
So yes, I think Hong Kong was just so behind on all of that. Yep. So they managed to sort out a way for us to do the Open. But literally, last year we knew what the next stage was going to be because they actually put out the equipment list, which is the first time they've ever done that.
Yes.
So knowing that I'd got through to the next stage, the quarters needed a rope, 15-foot rope.
15-foot, yeah.
Well, where are you going to get that outside, right?
Yeah.
You just can't, right? So it was the case of, okay, well, what are we going to do? If I either had to finish my season then or go somewhere else to do training. So, okay, it could be much longer story, but I decided to go to Dubai.
Okay, yeah.
To train in Dubai. My coach had also made the decision because he was training to get back to the Games. So long story short, we went to Dubai together for a while. Turned out to be 5 months. Mm-hmm. We trained there and got through to the quarters. So we stayed. Got through to the semis, so stayed. Mm-hmm. And then from the semis, we went straight to Chicago and then on to Madison.
Nice.
So
it was an eventful training year then, training year.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds quite, oh, that sounds great. But actually, I've got family, had a job that I had to give up. I had, family commitments that had to be all sort of like put on hold as well. Mm. So it was a massive undertaking. But if both of us wanted to continue our season, we had to do something. So we left Hong Kong and went to Dubai. My coach had some contacts there with the gym that we trained at. They sponsored us basically for all that time. Didn't have to pay any of our gym fees. Of course, that was a small sort of like drop in the ocean really, because living abroad and living in Dubai was not cheap. And then of course, the flights to the Games and all the expense that was surrounding that. But it was all worth it. Yeah,
it was worth it in the end. It was worth it. That's the big question that I was going to ask is, after all that, was it worth it to go?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a very long answer to your question, but there's so much backstory that it needs to be sort of like added because it was not an easy journey.
No,
at all.
Straightforward.
And of course, that was my first year in previous years, I'd gotten through the quarters, but I'd always missed the semis just by like 1 or 2 spots because it went from 20 down to 10. And the year it went down to 10, I think I finished 11th, and then there was the COVID, then there was the 2 games in 1 year, and there was lots of change within HQ over a period of time. So then it sort of like settled down again, and then we knew what the equipment list was going to be, so that was very helpful.
Talking about the backstory, which I also agree is very, very important for anyone listening and to understand, can we peel back even further and go back to when CrossFit first showed up for you? So do you remember either your first CrossFit experience and why you started CrossFit, and kind of if you can give us an intro as to where we started and how this come about?
So I'd known and heard about CrossFit for quite some time. It always sort of like put it on the back of my mind really, because at the time I was just doing classes at a regular gym, any type of you know, like lots of like the body pump or the body combat style classes. Where you could just have a gym membership and it was all there and you could do what you wanted to do. So that's what I was doing really before I started CrossFit and wanted another challenge. At the same time, this is still when I was living in Hong Kong, I was dragon boat training. So that's paddling. And then from paddling, I went to outrigging, which again is another form of paddling. But again, wanted another challenge because I'd been doing that for 7 seasons and done, you know, got to a good standard with that, but was just wanting something else. And I'd heard about CrossFit, I'd been to the States in the past, and of course they're, you know, prevalent over there with all the different gyms that are opening up over this period of time. So it was always in the back of my mind because it was so varied, and that's what interested me. I'd never lifted before. I'd never done any type of barbell work.
You've never had any work with a barbell experience?
No. I mean, like body pump, you know, and that's just not, is it? That,
it's not the same. It's not the same.
Not. But I mean, you know, it was fun. But so that was my, that was it really. Some friends had done it from Australia that I knew, went to visit them. He said, oh, look, I'm going to go today, you know, do you want to come? So I did a drop-in with them.
Okay, so your first session was in Australia, yeah?
First session ever was,
do you remember what your first workout was? Do you remember your
first was? It was a testing week. So it wasn't very good at all because it was things that I've not done before, and it was on, I literally went for 1 day. And I just remember doing like a run and a like sit-ups or something really random. It was really not a good introduction to CrossFit,
the methodology,
to be fair.
For sure.
Yes. But then I have family that live in the States, and you know, spoke to them about different things, and you know, is it worth, you know, like coming in over when I come to visit? Is there a gym there? That type of thing. And it was like, actually, I'm just going to try. So it was wanting to do something new. Yeah,
for sure.
Challenge.
I think with CrossFit, as we know, you know, constantly varied functional movement performed at high intensity. Sometimes one session is really hard to get a dose of what this thing is. Because we have some sessions that are very focused on some elements and some on others. You know, we've got the gymnastics and weightlifting. We have monostructural. We have, stuff that encompasses gymnastics on the rig and then floor gymnastics. There's so many different variables that you couldn't possibly fit it all in one session. So I understand how sometimes one session might be a bit hard to make a judgment, or maybe that wasn't the right dose of CrossFit or the methodology for yourself. So how long ago was that? How long ago did CrossFit come about for you?
So 8 years, I guess.
8 years?
Yeah.
Okay. 8 years in the making.
So, and at the time...
So I'm not in 8 years yet, so I've still got time to make it to the games. You heard it here first.
So I remember literally on the day that I was dragon boat training, I jumped out the boat and went to do, I don't know if you do it, an on-ramp it was called.
Yeah, on-ramp, yeah.
And I had like a full 2 days of getting to know everything, how to sort of like, you know, work my way around a gym, and you know, this is the barbell, this is a row, you know, that type of thing. You know, this is how to, you know, this is what we do. This is how we sort of like work, and just getting you familiarising yourself with the methodology, like
with everything going on.
So that was like a 2-day thing, and it was just like and I literally, that was at the weekend, and on the Monday I'd signed up, and I was like 4 or 5 days a week from
there off the bat. Okay, good. So it literally hit the ground running, was like,
pretty much,
let's do this thing.
because like you say, every day is something different anyway. So if you were picking and choosing, then that's not really ideal at all. No. And you know, I was committed. I mean, I was dragon boat training 4 times a week anyway, and I knew that I was going to have that extra time. That was an evening, and I was going to be working out at lunchtime, so I could fit that in, and
you could fit it in and still do the same thing anyway. And that's important. You know, we talk about the cherry picking notion, and that kind of generally removes the whole methodology of what CrossFit is. You know, the constantly varied is being that the workouts across the week are very different. And I understand people are going to favour different things, but ultimately the goal is to turn up and do the thing in front of you, because that's going to reveal the chink in the armour, and ultimately that's probably the thing that needs work. I tend to find the thing that we don't want to do is the thing we need to do more of, right? Give me a barbell and some heavy weights all day long, I'll be happy with that. Ask me to run, not as favoured. However, I'm well aware that the running is where I'll need to focus more attention, especially with Murph coming up in less than 20 days now. So I'm well on board with that. So was the goal always to compete for you? So off the bat, you know, you're already in an active environment. You know, training sounds like it was a big part of your life. You had training, you always wanted to be really good at stuff. Like I was doing this with the boats, and I wanted to be really good at that. So when you started CrossFit, did you kind of Was there a little scratch that emerged early on with actually I quite like the idea of the competing side, or did that come along later?
That just came later. It was just every day just getting better because there was so much improvement to be made.
Yeah.
Because I'd never picked up a barbell in the same way before. I'd never done Olympic lifting, never done any type of work on the rigs and any gymnastic style work. So there was so much to learn. And as you know, in the first sort of like 18 months, you do really well when you can, if you're committed and if you're consistent, then you can improve quite quickly with certain things.
For sure.
And that's always, that's always encouraging, isn't it? So, but no, for me, it was just a case of, it was something new. So every day, every week, we were doing new things. I was learning and progressing. So it was never about the competition. It was just about getting better myself.
Yeah. So that the competition was just a thing that organically grew as you started to get better at the thing you enjoyed doing. Yeah. So I enjoy this thing, I enjoy the progress, then eventually got to like, actually the competition side. How did you start competing? Was it you just did the open one year and then went from there?
Yeah, I mean, so we don't have many CrossFit gyms in Hong Kong. But all of those, there's only maybe 7 or so, but they all compete in the open and everybody's really quite consistent with their train, or seem to be. Yeah. So I was always listening, I was always surrounded by people that had some goal, like they were competing, and there was something going on. And then you just learn from that, and like we have like this thing called competition corner. Oh, we should do that. Of course, So there's lots of different things on there. But so then I would look on that to see what others were doing and what competitions were coming up. But I never felt that I was in that, in sort of like that frame mindset yet, because I was just too new to that. But there was always people around me that were doing something, and some were training for the game, some had got through to the game, some were doing teams, and so there was always something going on.
And that's part of the CrossFit thing, is the community around you, right? As the community grows and develops and improves, you tend to see more people going for either the competition side, or that can attract you into different avenues. And we have it here where we have sort of some people going and doing weightlifting competitions or doing different competitions, and I feel that as that starts to get amongst other people, there's more, like they see the content or they see the videos, they go, oh, that looks like good fun, let's go and try that. So I believe I understand that it can just sort of be an organic thing that happens within the community, which is really cool. Yeah,
because it's like who you surround yourself by also, right? 100%. You just get influenced by that. So,
what's the phrase? Something like you're the 10th person of the other 9 people you spend the most time with, or there's a phrase there. Okay, so with regards to, let's say someone's watching this video and they're thinking about starting CrossFit, and they're maybe even in not the same position as you, maybe they're not even doing pump or spin or any of those sorts of classes yet, they wouldn't consider themselves conditioned. What would be your take on starting CrossFit, and why? What would be the benefits, or what would you say to that person if they were thinking, I might start it, I might not? What would be your advice from your experiences?
Just try it, just go. Because, you can always have that view of, oh, but I'm not fit enough to start yet, or I'm not strong enough to start yet, therefore I'm not going to. But we all start from somewhere, and everybody's on a different projection, and everyone's on a different part of their journey, and they all start from a different spot. But if you don't start, then you're never going to get better. You probably won't ever feel confident enough to walk into a gym, because there's too many hiccups along the way, and there's too many variables, and there's too many reasons to not continue. But I think once you're part of a community, then that will keep you, or assuming it's as I say, CrossFit is a community, and as soon as you're part of something, you're going to want to stay part of that. And I think that in itself will give you the drive to turn up each time, and to see that, okay, you might not be as fit as everybody else, but there's always going to be somebody that might not be as fit as you or as active as you. But if you don't start, then it could be that you never start.
That's exactly it. And the likeness I use is like waiting till you can swim before you hire a swimming coach. The logic doesn't always add up. It's like, if we want to learn to do the swimming, we have to hire a swimming coach, or go into an atmosphere where I'm going to learn to swim. Likewise, if you want to learn to do CrossFit or fitness and strength, if you even give it a generic term, then it's a good idea to surround yourself with a community of people doing that, and people that can help you achieve it quicker. Cycling back some of the information that we didn't even get across, the category that you're in for the CrossFit Games, let's talk a little bit about that. So which category are you in? Where did you place in your qualifiers, and what's your ranking at the moment, and how's that looking?
So I'm in the 55 to 59s.
Which has shocked all of our staff here, by the way, being over 55. Okay.
Over 55. Yeah, and I placed first in the quarters and first in the semis.
Yeah. Is that this year's competition?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Last year, I think I got first in the quarters and sixth in the semis.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I already checked. I read my notes before I did the interview, so I was like, yeah, that is exactly where you placed.
Yeah. So now I'm over visiting family, my mum, and yeah. So here for just a week before the intensity picks up a little bit more for games training, which is very different to quarterfinals, semi-finals training.
Yeah,
it's so much more varied. And so many more things to
try and get done.
And that's it. It's like, because like last year, you don't need to pick up a yoke. You don't need to pick up the big old bars for the farmers carry. What are they called? So just so much new equipment that I worked with last year, and it was, lots of fun, but a little bit stressful, to say the least, but nonetheless, it was fun. So of course, it's just a case of getting used to working with those things and sandbags and like things that you don't normally get to use, but you'd stack up some boxes and try to get over the boxes and do like really high burpees to get over it.
Sure.
Burpee box jumps to go right over the top that you wouldn't do in normal training. So there's lots to I'm trying to think what we did last year, but lots of
variables. That's the thing. We say it again. It's the bread and butter and the soul, the methodologies that constantly vary, functional movement before the high intensity. That variation is that keeps CrossFit beautiful. For me, it's the thing that you can never quite master it all. Yeah. It's like there's always going to be something else added in, and then they change the standard, or the handstands facing the wall got introduced, and it's like that's a new thing to try and conquer now. Which will and the crossovers. The crossovers, I know that upset a lot of people. So I'm fortunate that if I was in that competition, the crossovers for me from boxing, happy days, I could do them all day long. I saw some of the really, really good athletes really struggling with the crossovers. Yeah. Because it's new. Yeah. And last year they got literally a few moments in warm-up to try that because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know the routine. So it was harsh to say the least. Very harsh. But with the new with the new guy that's doing all the programming now, you never know what to expect. And I've noticed this year that the program is quite different. So last year Bosman actually programmed for the games. Yes. But everything prior to that was still from the old methodology, right? So he did the games, and then this year he's done all of the programming with his team, right? So we've seen so many, as you said, lots of new little things coming in this year, and he's quite circusy, isn't he? He likes to do different things, quite a little bit more gymnasticy and that type of thing. So it's not just necessarily the handstand walks with the ramps anymore. You've got to be doing your pirouettes and your push-ups, and it's 2 movements or exercises within CrossFit or within competition. What's the one you least want to see come up? And what's the one where you're like, yes, that's there, I'm happy because I've got those in the locker most of the time? Okay, what do you reckon? I'm going to say you don't... That I don't like, what do you reckon? I'm going to say don't like anything that requires being really tall. So rower is not going to be a favour. Would that be fair to say? Yeah. So rower? Yeah. What, wall balls? Oh yeah, of course you have to jump for wall ball. I noticed you was doing them 2 days ago actually. And that was only almost 9 foot, and now they want 10 foot, right? So last year we were doing 10 foot. Yeah. And I'm 5'1". That's a long distance. It's really hard, and that was and often with like a heavier ball, it's just so hard. So yeah, that's my kryptonite, I guess you'd call that. Yeah, for sure. And then handstand push-ups. Yeah, I could do those all day. Could do them all day long, yeah. So this is the thing, like with being of shorter stature, there's pros and cons, right? Like, of course. There's some things that the tall guys and girls are going to really hate, and there's other things where the short guys and girls are going to really hate, and vice versa. There's going to be movements where there's a big benefit to being tall, but then there's also other movements with a big benefit to being shorter. So that's kind of the natural playing field to just see what comes up. Yeah, that's why having quite a few tests is good. Yeah. If they give you 4 tests for like the semis or for quarters, it's just too narrow. Yeah. But if you've got 6 tests, then you've got the chance of perhaps making up a few points down the line. Yeah, there's more variability, right? There's more chance to show your strengths and avoid your weaknesses where possible. Well, Leigh, thanks for joining us for a chat. No, thank you. Look forward to seeing you training here more. Thank you. Thanks for having me. No worries.